Yo, 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 mic check. Y'all hear me okay? I think that looks all right. My light's a little too bright though. I think I need to adjust that. Okay, I'm only 3.5 minutes late so far. Okay, that's a little bit better. I still need my whiskey. I left that downstairs. I brought my glass, but I didn't bring my whiskey up. I'm slipping. So who was all in here? Talk to me. How y'all doing? I can't see my chat. There it is. There's my chat. All right. So what we got going on now is I'm going to do a live stream and some live photo editing. It's going to be another fun Friday night. Look forward to this. Topic at hand. I try to have some type of theme when I do these live streams, and tonight's topic at hand is just out your door. You know, basically you're at your home, and from a photography standpoint, there's a lot of things that are just outside your home, right outside the door of your home, that is photography worthy, in my opinion. You just have to go out there and shoot, you know. So I am going to edit some shots that are taken right here in my home. Well, not in my home, but right outside of my home, typically in my yard, stuff like that. And it's just something simple, something easy to do. Doesn't cost you a lot as far as money or anything like that, but it gives you something to shoot, and it allows you to further work on your craft, you know, because there's a lot of things that are just outside. All right, I see more people are popping in. There's Hybrid Media. What's happening, man? I hope my audio sounds all right. I forgot to get my whiskey. Can y'all bear with me for a whole minute so I can go downstairs and grab my bottle of whiskey, please? Be right back, I promise. Okay, I feel better now. Got to get the dust off the box here. And I'm sorry if I'm breathing hard into the microphone. Tonight's whiskey of choice will be the Dalmore 12 single malt Scotch whiskey, because I'm a single malt Scotch kind of guy. And I enjoy having a beer or some whiskey while I do my work. It's just like perfect relationship. Cool. Give that a little swirl and let that air out a little bit. And now we are ready to roll. Okay, so with that said, hopefully I'm not yelling into the mic too much. So let's go ahead and fire up Lightroom and Photoshop and all of that, and start rolling with tonight's edit. Again, thank you all for popping in and watching tonight. I am Pruitt. I am a freelance digital content creator. I write, I do video, I do photography, and I have a lot of fun doing it. And when I'm not doing any of that freelance stuff, I do a lot of IT SQL stuff, and I love doing that too, because it's just data and puzzles. I love it. But yeah, so let's go ahead and take a look at Lightroom here. The theme, as I said at the beginning of this live stream, is more so dealing with just going right outside the door of your home, whether it's your front door, back door, side door, garage door, I don't care. Whatever door that leads to the outside of your home, there are plenty of different items and subject matter that I think are photo worthy. So take advantage of that and just grab your camera, your smartphone, or whatever camera you have, go out there, open the door, and start shooting and grabbing some great shots. I've already done the import from Lightroom. Oh, one more thing. With that being said, I know personally every single day, well, at least Monday through Friday, every day at 10 a.m. I have a conference call. And I usually take that conference call outside. And when I'm outside, I have my phone plugged into my ears and I have my camera in my hands. So I'm listening to the call and I'm also just taking photographs while I'm out there. And it's random stuff, totally random stuff. But it's all good because sometimes that random stuff turns out to be quite beautiful. So that's why I do this. And again, it's just another way to get you out there shooting and not talking about shooting. And while you're out there shooting, you're stepping your game up and working on your craft. You know what I'm saying? All right. But thanks for popping in. That's tonight's scheme and theme of things. So let's get rolling on this here. If you're looking at my screen now, you see a whole bunch of random shots, bunch of random stuff. I've already done a lot of processing on a handful of these things. This shot right here was one of the last images posted on my Instagram account. And yes, this shot is taken right outside in my backyard. If it decides to load. Why aren't you loading? Whoa. Huh. You don't want to load today. Yeah, everything is freaking out on my computer right now. Hold on, I might have to kill everything. This is not good. Delete that process. There we go. And I'm just going to restart Windows Explorer too. There we are. Okay, so hopefully you guys see my screen now. And we can get back to rolling. Thank y'all for hanging on with me. Yowza. All right, so let's get back to it. Again, this was a lot of stuff that was just taken in my backyard at random. This particular shot right here was one of my recent Instagram shots, and it was definitely taken in the backyard because it's not uncommon for me to go outside and damn, it's still not working. There it is. It's not uncommon for me to go outside and see wildlife just hanging out in my backyard. So I went out there and I got that 250 millimeter kit lens and just tried to be as still as possible, line up the shot and go for it. And if you look back here, there's another deer right there. That's his back though. But yeah, just go outside and just shoot. Here's another shot that I recently shared on Instagram. That was from the backyard. Just turned my camera up portrait mode and lined up and just shot, and then I worked on it in Lightroom. So, but you get the drift. So let's go ahead and jump into some more shots that are just random outside and play around with them and see what we come up with. There's a bunch of shots of bees because there's honeysuckle in my backyard. So let's take a look at that. So we'll flip through, see what we like. Looks like I had these slightly overexposed, but I still got fairly nice detail. So let's mark this one. This one has potential. That one's overexposed, but it has potential. No. No. That one's clear, but it's the backside of the B. Would have been nice, though. Hey, that's a good one. Nope. Nope. And sometimes you're going to miss focus. It happens. Happens to the best. So I don't sweat it too much. That's why you just keep pressing that shutter down. You guys still hear me okay? Let me move this over here where I can see a little bit better. There we go. That's better. All right. I like that, but it still looks a little overexposed, but I'm gonna mark it. It's potential. Nope. 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 That one's okay. I'm trying to find one that just really grabs me. You know, we've gotten a few potential ones. I like that. Nope, nope, nope. Hey, now we're talking. Hey there, Jocelyn Young. Jocelyn Long, sorry. Welcome. Okay, so we're coming down to the last of the B's. I think this is the one we'll work with tonight. How about that? Y'all cool with that? I hope so. Okay, first things first. Go ahead and make sure all of your chromatic aberration stuff is squared away and your camera lens profile is squared away. Again, I was using that kit lens and it automatically picked it up. So that's good to go. And that way we don't have to worry about the image having a little vignetting and bowing. Works quite nicely. All right, so we're going to go back to the top. And I like with what Adobe's been doing with the profiles. They're basically like lookup tables. Thanks, Mike. And I'm going to play around with these options here. Recently, the landscape profile has been pretty nice with most of the things I've shot. Vivid looks okay here too. Portrait is a little more flat and it smoothed things out. I don't think that works for this particular image. Standard is really flat. But I like landscape. Landscape seems to pop a little bit more. But then this over here is a little blown out now. Let's just go back to standard, try to flatten it some. No. We'll just stick to the old faithful. We'll go with landscape. Because I'm probably going to get rid of all of this over here anyway. I don't think any of that's necessary. But we got our good baseline to start with. So, first off, exposure. Exposure looks fine on this. I'll take it up just a touch, but I don't need to go up too much. Contrast right here. I love me a high contrast shot, but if I push it too much, it will look like crap. So we'll go to about 7. Highlights. This thing is clearly blown out on the highlights. If you look over here at the histogram, you see that little bar on the right hand side, that's your highlights. And if I press this arrow, you'll see on the image the little red spots shows that these highlights are overblown. So I'm going to push that down. I didn't really need that histogram to show me that. I could see it just from looking at the image straight on, you know. But that looks a lot better right here. It's not a big hot white light. So now we'll go ahead and take our shadows, bring that up just a touch. I'm noticing a little bit of image grain back here. So we're going to make sure we do some noise reduction and clean that up. Same up here in the top. Notice it a lot more when I increase the shadows. So that's something to keep in mind. And the whites, we're going to take the whites down just a little bit. Right there, just take them down just a little. There. See, now it's not hurting my eyes. I don't know about y'all, but when I was looking at it just from here at my desk, everything was so bright it was hurting my eyes. And that's not because I got this light shining down on me, but this image, it was just a little overexposed. So we'll go with the black levels. I enjoy taking the black levels down because I look at it the same way I look at contrast. Those black levels really make those other colors pop. So we're just going to decrease it. Heck, I'll just take it all the way down to see what happens. And thing is, I think that works because it made the black on the B a little bit darker, which brought out more detail on the B. See what happens if I take the black levels up back to where it was? Well, that's a little more. Yeah, but that's where it was. If I increase it, you lose that extra color detail. So I like to decrease it. And I'm getting all that detail back. And that's zoomed in. That's pretty sharp. Okay, so next we'll go to clarity. Boost that up. What I'm hoping for is being able to see more of those details on the bee's head and more of the detail inside of the wings by boosting the clarity and sharpness. I don't expect to see much detail back here in the background because of my lens's aperture. This thing was shot at f5.6, I believe. Yep, f5.6. So I'm not going to get a super shallow depth of field, but I got enough. And it'll work once we get all through all of this. Dehaze. Normally I do dehaze first, but I don't expect much out of it because this was a really, really bright day and everything just sort of contrasted right off the bat. You know, and this did all right. It gave it a little more contrast. Just putting this dehaze on. You really see the background separate as I adjust the dehaze setting here. Next, the vibrance. Don't have to touch it too much, nor the saturation, because the colors look good. I don't want to overdo the saturation. I think some people really push saturation way too much and make it look a little too phony. I want to enhance the colors, but not that much. So let's dial these back just a hair. That works for me right now. I don't have to deal with curves just yet. If I was going to deal with the curve, I would have checked the highlights again, but we already got those in check earlier at the top of the screen. So we're going to skip the curve. Luminance. Well, the green is really overpowering this image. All of this green is just, it really just stands out. And I'm fine with that to a certain extent. But if you look over here at your histogram, just look at how it's spiked the green channels here. So I'm going to take the greens down just a little bit, not too much. And sometimes you can get that effect by increasing the luminance. Sometimes, but not this time. So I'm going to decrease the green saturation right there. So I just clicked on the saturation here. And I just went to the green channels right here. And I'm just going to pull it back a little bit. So if I take it all the way down and just try to wipe out the green saturation, it's still green. You know, it even shows up on the histogram up here. There's still a little bit of green there. But I don't want to take it down that much. So I'm going to push it back up just a touch. Something along those lines. Okay. All right, split toning is not necessary for this image, at least not yet anyway. Okay, sharpening and the noise reduction. I'll just do a little push of the sharpening, even though I'm going to do sharpening in Photoshop. Noise reduction definitely needs to happen right now, because if we zoom in on this image and you're looking all through here, you see all of that noise and grain. It's not good. Gotta get rid of that. So we're going to push the noise reduction. See if we can clean that up some, smooth it out. Okay, now from a zoomed in standpoint, that looks a lot better. Let me reset it. And I'm going to zoom out and see what it looks like when I increase it. Because a lot of times when you increase your noise reduction, it'll smooth out everything. And I don't want the B to get smoothed out. I want some of that clarity to remain on the B. So let's push the noise reduction up. And yeah, so far that's working. Yep, that looks good. We didn't lose any of the details on the B, but we did smooth out the background here. And that little bitty baby bouquet. All right, so we are pretty good to go. I would definitely crop this image. Looking at this image, it is, in my opinion, it's way too big. I think it should be cropped down so we can put more focus on the actual B being the subject. But I'm not going to crop it in Lightroom just yet. I'm going to do some more work in Photoshop, and I will probably increase the size, and then I'll crop it. Because if I crop it now, I'm going to lose some of the image quality. But if I put it in Photoshop and increase the size up to maybe 150% larger, I won't lose as much image quality when I crop it down, because Photoshop does a really good job with its image resizing. So let's go ahead and get ready to pop into Photoshop. So we'll just right click on the image like this, and then we'll say edit in Photoshop. I appreciate you guys watching. You have any questions so far? That's some good whiskey. It's not my favorite scotch, but it's a good scotch. And they're not a sponsor. They should be. Wow, Photoshop, you're a little slow today. Jeez. Any day now, Photoshop. Good gosh. There we go. Much better. Oh, I closed it earlier through the task manager, so it's trying to recover those other files that I had out there from when I was working on my thumbnail. That's my bad. Okay, good question, Jocelyn. What do you do? Jocelyn in the chat says, what do you do with photos that you don't find useful right now? I do try to delete the stuff that I'm not using, just to sort of save some space from a storage standpoint, because hard drive pricing and RAM pricing and all of that continues to be fairly expensive once you get to a certain size. You know, like when you're needing, I need at least 16 more terabytes of space, just to store some of my stuff and to have some redundancy. But until I get that, I have to minimize what's useful and what's a keeper kind of thing. So I do try to go through and just wipe out the stuff that I think is just absolute garbage and that I'll never ever look at again. Or if I think they have potential for later on down the road, I will take that questionable image, and instead of using the raw file, I will convert it down to a DNG, and that'll shrink it some from a size standpoint and give me a little bit more space. And it looks like I'm frozen again. Dadgummit. Oh, this stinks. What I'll do is I'll close Lightroom for now, because all of this edit that I've done on this, it's going to save, so I can close that for now. Get in there. Very good. All right. Lightroom's cooperating. Computer's not freaking out. So now let's see if we can try to edit this in Photoshop like we planned on 20 minutes ago. Photoshop opened right up. Fingers crossed. Come on, don't crash. Hey, it worked. I don't see my layer panel though. Oh, it's still loading it. All right, so Jocelyn says she's working on learning my camera and lenses. Usually take a photo walk each weekend. That's what's up. Get up and get out. Nice. Jocelyn, am I following you on any of the social media? I'd like to see your progress and see what you've been working on. Tag me on something so I can follow you back, okay? All right, we are now in Photoshop and I can get to work, I hope. No? Oh, great. Tag me. I'll have to look for you. I'll double check. I hate that this app is trying to crash. I restarted the live stream software, so hopefully this will work now. Photoshop seems to be up and running. Lightroom is up and running. Is anybody out there? Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and carry on. If some folks happen to pop in, that would be awesome. I appreciate it. Looks like people are coming back. Hey, thanks for coming back, y'all. This was an issue with the broadcast software. I'm hoping it's working better now. Because the second I killed off the broadcast software, Photoshop and Lightroom was back to just doing what it normally does. So it's amazing. You're supposed to update your software for security and things like that, but you never think about it borking and screwing things up. So thanks for hanging in there and coming back to this live stream. So let's go ahead and get back to it and not take up too much more time. Previously, we were working on this photograph over inside of Lightroom. We did all of our exposure and color and contrast and a little bit of sharpening and some noise reduction, and got it squared away to do some more touch up and detail work inside of Photoshop. So I did a right click and I did edit in Photoshop, which is where we are now. Okay, so what I want to do inside of Photoshop is I want to make this image larger. I can't talk. I want to make this image larger using Photoshop's image resize function, and it does a really good job of making images bigger and still giving you details. They have this preserve details 2.0 option built in, and man, it does such a great job. So I want to take this up to about 150%. As you see right there, it was at 100%, but I want to take it to about 150%, which will then change this pixel dimensions from 5,000 to 7,000. So again, once it's bigger, I'll be able to crop it down and still have a good amount of detail in this image. So I'm going to click OK, and Photoshop's going to think. All right, so it made the image bigger like we said, and you see I'm pretty zoomed in on this, and I still got a lot of detail in that. So Photoshop, man, y'all are doing some fine work over there at Adobe. I got to give you your props. But I'm going to zoom out on this. Well, not that much. Where'd my... Oh, shoot, I put that mask on. There we go. I hit the wrong button. Zoom in just a touch. So now what we're going to do is our sharpening process. And I like to use the high pass filter and Gaussian blur to do my sharpening. But what I've done recently is gone up here to this upper left menu, and I've created an action that will do my sharpening for just about any image in one click. It'll at least give me a starting point. And if you were to look at this action up here, you'll see every little step that I take. So at first it'll convert the layer to a smart object, and then it'll duplicate the layer, duplicate it again. It'll select one layer and it'll make it a group, and so on and so forth. And then it'll eventually get down to the Gaussian blur and the high pass filter. Everything that I would normally do to start the sharpening process. But instead of me going through all of that, I'll just hit this little play button right here to run this action that I've called ant sharpening. Okay, so I'm going to hit play right now and just watch it. It'll just start going through the process for me. You see it's thinking right there on the screen. Now look over here in the layer panel and you'll see stuff start to change. First thing it's going to do is turn that big image into a smart object. Then it groups it all together, makes all of the duplicate layers, and boom, it's done. And it's night and day. If I toggle this button right here, you'll get a before and after. This is after the sharpening, and that's before the sharpening. Honestly, the sharpening is a little too much in my opinion, so I'm going to back it down by clicking on this high pass filter. I'm going to back it down just a little bit, because you can have your stuff sharp, but you don't want it too sharp. Let's go to about, I'll do 3.5. And we'll just take a look, see how it compares. So this is the after, and this is the before. So it's a little bit sharper now. I don't want to do it too much. Let's see if I take it up to 4.5. Okay, and now we're going to do another comparison. Before, after, before, after, before, after. In addition to looking at the bee and its details, I'm also taking a look at like the petals and the stamens, isn't that what they're called on these flowers? Looking at the details down there too. So let's look at before. Let's focus down here. Look, this is the before, and now we're going to sharpen it. That's the after. I think that's good to go. So I will zoom out one more time. Before, after. Yeah, that's good to go there. So from a sharpening standpoint, I don't have to worry about this anymore. Now, if I really wanted to get creative with this image, I can start messing around with color and like making color gradients and things like that. And depends on your scene, that stuff is pretty cool and can be pretty fun. But since I'm doing a more natural shot, At the most, I would add maybe some yellow tones or something like that. But I don't see the need to get too crazy creative with this type of shot. So right now, I'm just going to hop out of Photoshop and then go back into Lightroom with this larger image. And then I'll go ahead and do the final cropping and vignetting and things like that. Hope that makes sense. Okay, so I will hit save up here in the upper left. File, save. It's going to think about it because it's a huge image. This thing is 7,000 pixels wide now. It's still thinking. Wait a minute. I'm gonna do that save one more time because I didn't have my sharpness in there. So I'm going to save it one more time. There we go. Dang, that's taking a minute. I guess because it's a really, really big image. There it goes. So now I'll close out of Photoshop and it's going to take me back into Lightroom. There we go. So now we're back in the Lightroom with our fresh, crispy, sharp image. And it has all of that extra dimensions in here. It went from 5,000 wide to 7,000 wide, almost 8,000 wide. So let's go ahead and do our cropping. Our crop tool is over here. And again, earlier in the original live stream that crashed, I was saying this image should be cropped because I think it needs to have a crop that will focus more on the particular subject. And our subject is this bee. So I'm going to play around with the cropping here until I see what I like. And yeah, it's nice to have the subject, but I do want some of the blurred background too, just to show the separation. And I don't always like to do centered crops with the subject matter. So I'll just play around with it. And you can use these crop guides, like right here where they intersect on the crop guides. You can use that as far as understanding the rule of thirds and things of that nature. I don't always follow the rule of thirds, but it is a nice baseline. If you don't know what the rule of thirds is, it's basically where you take an image and break it up into 3 pieces, like right here, 1, 2, 3 different pieces, and your eye naturally follows where these lines would intersect. So you want your point of interest to be right along those lines of intersection. In this case, this bee is not on an intersecting line, but it still gets your attention because of the cropping. Let's see how this looks. Yeah, see, I don't like that. I think having it this way, it's a little too much overhead. So let's bring this down some, because all of that up there was useless. It didn't add any value to the shot. So let's bring this down and try it that way. I don't know. I still don't really like that either. Let's bring this in that way. Bring this up a touch, maybe like that. Bring that down right about there. what I'm doing right now, if it helps you to understand the method to my madness, right now I'm looking at a diagonal. I'm starting from this upper corner and doing a diagonal with my eyes down to this corner. And I'm trying to see if I can line that B up within that diagonal. And it doesn't look like it. So if I was to drag this out some more like that, the B looks like it's more in the diagonal. And if you notice, as I stretch it out, it starts to fall into that rule of thirds, where it's sitting right along those intersections. Let's see how this looks. No, blow it up a little more. Okay, I like that a little bit better. What do y'all think? I think I still need to pull my highlights down just a touch, because it looks like the B is sweating. If I'm looking at this B, it looks like he's got a little sweat on him, which I know it's not. But I'm going to turn the highlights down just a little bit, just a touch. And bring my shadows up to compensate for it. I don't know. I'm still not digging that crop. Let's take it back out. Maybe right about there. And I know that puts him square in the center of the image, but I like that a little bit better. Let's take it out a little more. Yeah, I think I like that better. You still have some detail, and you don't have a bunch of extra negative space that's useless. Negative space is fine to a certain extent, especially when you're doing stock photography, because stock photography can use that negative space for ads. How's that? We even rotated it a little bit. Okay, I think that's better. I'm done cropping this down. I'm going to leave it alone, because if not, I'll end up in a rabbit hole and stuck. So this looks pretty good, folks. We can pretty much finish this up now. I'll do one more little taste of noise reduction just to be safe. Looks like it's not necessary. I'm going to pull the clarity back just a hair, as it looks like it brought some extra clarity over into Lightroom. There we go. There we go. Now we're looking better. Take this down. Much better. So last thing I'm going to do is add a vignette. Well, it's not the last thing. This is the next to last thing. So I'll add a vignette right here to put more focus on the B. What I like to do is take it all the way down to the extreme. And granted, that does not look good at all, but it gives me something to work with, to know I can find a happy medium by moving my slider. I think if I do it this way and then change the feather, that'll look a little bit better. Yeah, I think that looks a little bit better. Puts the focus on the bee even more. What you guys think? All right, and lastly, to finish it out, I always like to play around with the camera calibration here in the bottom. Thank you, Hybrid. I appreciate that. And I'm gonna play around with this color calibration, the orange and blues and teals, because sometimes that really just makes these images pop. Oh, look at that. Yes. Adjusting this blue and orange really make these petals stand out even more. Look at how pretty that white is. You know, and sometimes just push it too far so you know exactly where to bring it back. Because when I push this orange too far, I lost my green. All of this green starts to look yellow. So I know I went too far. So I'm going to bring that back just a touch. Let's bring it there. And then I'll do the same thing with the blue. I'm just going to take it too far. See, that's way too far. So let's bring that blue back. I think that's our spot right there. That's the sweet spot. Cool, book it. Mark this thing green as in good to go, so I can export that thing, and I'll go ahead and have this ready to go up on Instagram. So I'm going to hit file and I'm going to export it. I have an Insta preset. Boom, it's going to go. It's going up to the cloud and everything right now, and it's done. Matter of fact, I might even just go ahead and get this ready for stock photography too. Why not? So let me go ahead and export it to my hard drive with my general preset, so I can put it up on Shutterstock because somebody might want that. And then I'll jump over here to the library and just add it to my Adobe stock. And then I also like to put it up on my Flickr page because Flickr is another great cloud backup service. So I'll hit publish, and then I'll go to Adobe stock and I'll hit publish, and it'll be good to go. Easy as that. All right. So that's it, folks. That is the bee in the backyard from just going out my back door and taking the camera and just shooting. That's all it is to it. You stumble across things like that, and you go out at the right time of day, and you'll see this. You know, I go out at 10 o'clock every morning for my conference call, and I always take my camera, and I always take my phone with me, and I have my phone plugged into my ear and all of that. And while I'm listening to the call, I'm also scouting out what's going on around outside, and I'm just snapping shots. And this was just one of them. But I appreciate y'all watching. Do you guys have any questions for me over in the chat room? I could put this over here just in case people can't see the chat. I appreciate that, Hybrid Media. Great editing tonight. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. And Jocelyn, thank you. I really do want you to tag me so I can follow your stuff. And it's my pleasure. Thank you for your kind words. Oh, this dude's going to Alaska. Man, you going to the land of the midnight sun. So lucky. So lucky. All right. These are a few other shots from the backyard. Let me show you one more thing before we go. I'm not going to process it, but this is just more stuff in the backyard. There's a family of rabbits that come through all the time. These are some horrible shots. They're overexposed. But I was out there shooting. There's another one. Oh, I think I was shooting through my window upstairs. That's what it was. That's why they look so hazy. More from the bees. Lots of stuff, y'all. Lots of stuff. But anyway. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you would have clicked the share button so other photographers can check it out, especially those photographers that are just getting started, because it could really be frustrating trying to get started in photography and trying to figure out all the settings on your camera and trying to figure out what does saturation mean versus vibrance and exposure and contrast and all of that. And hopefully I can help with that. Hey, Scott William, good to see you, my man. Right on, right on. I appreciate that affirmation, brother. All right, but again, thank y'all for the support. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, hit the share button so it goes out to other photographers. I really appreciate that. Check the links in the description for all of the stuff that I use and the affiliate links that are in there, that if you click on them, it will help support my channel. There's also a Patreon in there. The biggest thing is the audiobooks. I love audiobooks, and there should be a link in this description to get 2 free audiobooks from audible.com. They support me by giving me a little commission. If you sign up for their 30-day free trial, you get 2 free audiobooks. If you don't want to keep the free trial, you can cancel it within the 30 days or after the 30 days. Either way, you still get to keep those 2 free books. All right, so thank you, Audible, and thank y'all for the support. All right, folks, I'm at Pruitt. I'm going to sign off on this Friday night. I'm going to finish this here glass of whiskey and go hang out with Mrs. Pruitt. That's good stuff. But y'all have yourselves a wonderful weekend. Get out there tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, what have you. Let's just go and do what we do. We create and we dominate. Y'all take care.